As a group of people worked to clean up the aftermath of Power's fight with the sea cucumber devil, Makima approached her and reminded her of the consequences of a public safety demon hunter division member interfering with a civilian hunter's devil. Makima emphasized that Power's reckless actions could lead to her arrest for obstructing a hunter's business. She then advised Power to think before she acted and urged Denji to keep her under control. Although Power possessed talent as the Blood Devil, her impulsive nature and tendency to get worked up quickly may not make her well suited for a career as a devil hunter. Hearing this, Power lied, claiming that Denji had forced her to kill the devil. Denji, however, refuted her claim, calling her a liar, which led to a heated argument between the two. Makima intervened, commanding them to be quiet. Power immediately complied with Makima's order, and Makima expressed her desire for the two to work together effectively. Power agreed, indicating her willingness to cooperate with Denji. After buying a drink, Denji notices Power petting a cat. He remarks that buying a drink is a luxury for him, and if things don't change soon, thirst will be the least of his worries. With Power lying, their situation won't get any easier. Power admits that she hates humans but enjoys cats' company. She also shares her hatred for devils, as one of them had taken her beloved pet Meowy. Although Makima had captured her before she could retrieve Meowy, Power remains hopeful that her pet is still alive. She is willing to do whatever it takes, even befriend humans, to get her back. Denji struggles to understand her love for a cat, but he relates to her concern. He admits that he would do anything to touch some breasts, but if it were for a dog, he would understand her actions. Power offers a deal, suggesting that she will allow him to touch her breasts if he helps her retrieve Meowy. Denji becomes enraged at the devil that kidnapped the cat and declares that, as a devil hunter, he cannot remain silent. He vows to kill the devil responsible for taking Meowy. After securing approval from the Public Safety Division, Denji and Power set out towards the location of the devil. Along the way, Power reveals that she knows where the devil is, but emphasizes that only Denji has the strength to defeat it. She warns that the devil may use Meowy as a shield, making the battle even more perilous. Denji shares a personal story about his beloved pet, Pochita, whom he can no longer physically touch. Power dismisses Denji's belief that Pochita still lives on in his heart, stating that it is merely a form of self-comfort for humans. Denji chooses not to argue with her and doubts that they will ever see eye to eye. A time skip occurs, and Makima is seen meeting with high-ranking officials in the Public Safety Division. They discuss the use of devils in other countries' militaries, with some expressing concern about the potential consequences of such actions. They express their hope that Japan will only have to contend with devils as enemies in the future. The conversation shifts to the performance of Makima's squad, and she notes that one member shows great promise. She also mentions a recent addition who has caught her attention. The officials remind her that her duty is to train and utilize the squad for the division's work, cautioning her against getting too attached to the members. The scene shifts to the inside of a car. Aki shares her opinion that Denji is disgusting and uninteresting, questioning why Makima has high expectations for him. Makima responds by explaining that all devils are born with names, and the more feared the name, the more powerful the devil becomes. For instance, a coffee devil would be weak since coffee isn't considered terrifying, but a car devil would likely be strong because it's easy to envision being run over and killed. She notes that Denji can transform into the chainsaw devil, which intrigues her. However, Aki remains skeptical about Denji's usefulness, noting that everyone in public safety has a clear goal or motivation, whereas Denji only wants to live a comfortable life and befriend devils. Power and Denji arrive at the outskirts of the city, and Power points to a house where the devil who abducted Meowy is reportedly hiding. As they approach the house, Denji expresses hope that he won't need to transform into a chainsaw, but Power assumes he is joking. As they near the house, Denji remembers that the devil may use Meowy as a shield and questions if Power should be so close since the devil could spot her. Power admits to her mistake, but they stop in their tracks when she suddenly creates a blood hammer. Denji tries to strike her with his axe, but Power swiftly hits him first, causing him to lose consciousness. She comments that despite his foolishness, his instincts are sharp. Power drags Denji into the house with great force. The Bat Devil is waiting for her and tells her that he thought she had run away, but she finally arrived. Power explains that it took her some time to gain some freedom, but she has brought him a human as he demanded. The Bat Devil picks up Denji and notes that his blood will be full of vigor since he is young. Denji begins to awaken and realizes that the Bat Devil has lost his arm, which forced him into hiding. However, he claims not to care about it. The devil tells him that food shouldn't talk and explains that by drinking human blood, he can heal the wounds caused by humans. The Bat Devil lifts Denji above his head and squeezes him, causing him to vomit some blood. However, when the Bat Devil drinks it, he finds it disgusting and throws Denji away. His arm begins to regenerate, but the Bat Devil wants to cleanse his palate with another human since the taste was unpleasant. Denji looks at Power, who assures him that humans are foolish and that he believed her story. The Bat Devil gazes down at the city, his senses repulsed by the stench of cigarettes, makeup, and perfume. However, his keen nose detects a tantalizing aroma, and he declares his intention to feast on some children. Power reminds him of their agreement and presents him with a human as promised, pleading for the release of Meowy. The Bat Devil acknowledges his previous promise, but points out that he never said he wouldn't punish Power for bringing him contaminated blood. He devours Meowy without further ado, and Power is filled with regret at the memory of the days she spent nurturing the feline. After killing a bear and finding Meowy near death, Power had decided to fatten her up before indulging in the satisfaction of consuming her. But she soon found that the cat's companionship had become precious to her, and she had taken great care in feeding and raising Meowy. She was horrified to see the Bat Devil swallow the beloved feline, and she felt a pang of empathy for Denji's loss of Pochita. The Bat Devil, still thirsty for blood, demands that Power bring him another human if she wants to see Meowy again. She complies, but he swallows her whole as well. The Bat Devil laments that the taste of the blood he just consumed was unsatisfactory, and declares that he needs to feast on some children to satiate his hunger. He eagerly takes flight towards the city, musing on his culinary preferences: virgins as an appetizer, a beefy man for the main course, and a pregnant woman for dessert. Suddenly, he is startled by Denji clinging to his leg and drinking his blood, demanding the return of his breasts. The Bat Devil is taken aback, but swiftly captures Denji. He remembers a time when he feared that a devil had eaten his own beloved companion, Pochita, only to find him waiting patiently for Denji's return. Denji wonders how Power coped with the knowledge that the Bat Devil had consumed Meowy, and reflects on the agony of his own separation from Pochita. He pulls the cord on his chest, summoning his chainsaw and using it to free himself from the Bat Devil's grasp. To the Bat Devil's surprise, Denji is revealed as a fellow devil. Denji and the Bat Devil crash into a building, causing chaos. Denji notices a woman nearby and quickly urges her to escape to safety. The Bat Devil questions Denji's motives since he's a devil, but Denji doesn't hesitate to engage in a fight. Meanwhile, Denji spots other humans in the area and urges them to flee as well. The Bat Devil, not wanting to lose the battle, picks up a car with a human inside and throws it at Denji, testing his strength. Denji catches the car and holds it, but he's indifferent about saving the person inside. In retaliation, he throws the car back at the Bat Devil and hits him in the face. Enraged, the Bat Devil releases a powerful shockwave from its mouth, sending Denji flying. The Bat Devil seizes the opportunity to capture a human from the car wreckage, intending to devour them and heal. Despite this, he still hears the sounds of Denji's chainsaws amid the smoke, and wonders how he's managed to survive. Denji appears, fuming with anger as he claims he's been waiting patiently, but still hasn't had a chance to show his full power. The Bat Devil becomes frightened and hurls debris at Denji, urging him to stay away. But Denji slices through the debris with his chainsaws without hesitation. In an attempt to retaliate, the Bat Devil throws a punch at Denji, but Denji easily evades it and cuts off his arm with his chainsaws. Denji then leaps into the air and drives his chainsaws into the Bat Devil's stomach, tearing him apart. And with that, we conclude this episode.